for now on the cultural and entertainment venues, and it means many people are thrown back out of work. Now, here to give us an inside perspective on the wide-ranging effects here is Noam Semel, the CEO of Habima National Theater, one of the largest in the country and the center of Tel Aviv here. Now, thanks for being with us here. Just so recently reopened, now reclosed. How many people does this really affect at your theater or the people who work for you?
As you know, I am the Director General of the Habima, the National Theatre of the State of Israel. Altogether, I think we have 500 or 600 employees. All of them are now in a special arrangement with the government. They get a small amount of money as salary, a monthly salary. And this morning, I asked 5 technicians, administrators, box office manager, and the artistic director and assistant to the artistic director to leave again to a special arrangement with the government. Because, as you may know, the Israeli government declared last night that all the theaters and all the halls in Israel and the cultural centers in Israel will be closed totally. It means that we cannot gather even 100 or 50 or 60, just 2 seconds before this took place. I received a telephone call from a friend in Jaffa, who is the head of the Jaffa Arabic Hebrew Theater, and he wants to do a small performance next week for 50 people. And he used to do it before the decision of the government, and he asked my own opinion about what will happen, because is he allowed to do it or not? We do not know. We do not know if we can host 50 people like the restaurants, because restaurants in Israel can host 20 customers inside and 30 customers outside in the open air area. That's it. So we don't know yet. But theaters in Israel, as I said before, including the Habima National Theatre of Israel, are totally closed.
Now, what about, do you know, I mean, you mentioned speaking to many of your workers, your people that are with you in all sorts of variety of roles. Are they considering a change of profession at this point? Do you think that they're going to leave, perhaps an exodus of people from the industry might affect the long-term nature of the theater industry?
Some people will stay with us and some people will leave the industry. I don't like the word industry because it's art, it's culture, it's theater, it's not an industry, it's not a commercial venue, it is an artistic venue. As you may know, we are sponsored by the government of Israel, thanks to the Ministry of Culture and Sport. Because we are the national theater, the only national theater of Israel, we get our subsidy only from the government. The other theaters in Israel get subsidy from the government and from the municipalities in Haifa, Beersheba, Jerusalem, and Tel Aviv. We are fighting to survive now during the time of the sickness. We are fighting to survive because we decided to open July 13, then we said July 16, and recently we decided to open August 3rd. We sold all the tickets to Mamma Mia, the musical, based on the songs of ABBA, the ABBA choir or the ABBA band from Sweden. And after then, we had a plan to do an Israeli play and then another Israeli play and another comedy written by Ray Cooney from Britain. Anyhow, to cut the long story short, we are closed. So we have asked our subscribers to stay tuned to our information, because maybe we shall reopen the theaters. Why I'm saying the theaters, because we have 5 venues at the Habima Theatre. It's the equivalent of the Royal National Theatre in London, or the Royal Shakespeare Company in Stratford, or the Kennedy Center, or the Lincoln Center in New York. So we have 5 venues inside the building. So we have asked them to follow the information. And I believe that within 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months from now, we'll be able to open at least the main hall. The main hall consists 920 seats. So we used to be allowed for 500 customers or 500 spectators. in a special arrangement according to the rules of the government. But as a matter of fact, now, as I said before, we are not allowed even to do a rehearsal of a new production. We have to close the gates of the theater.
Do you think that it's wrong to just close the doors entirely? Is there another way that this should be done?
Yeah. I suggested the Israeli government this morning by the media, and then I had a meeting, not alone, but I had a meeting with the gentleman who is the Minister of Defense, and there were some other ministers in that meeting. Among them was Hili Trooper, who is the Minister of Culture and Sport, and I suggested to them to open all the amphitheaters of Israel. We have a very good weather in Israel, and we have many amphitheaters all around the country, including in Jaffa, and including in Jerusalem or Caesarea, and to allow us, I mean, when I say us, I meant the theaters and the musicians and the composers and the singers and the bands and the choirs and even the dance companies, that we shall perform in the outside amphitheaters, I mean in the open air spaces. I suggested it, and I'm taking this opportunity to announce my idea to the government, because if they will open the amphitheaters and they will allow us to perform there, I believe that the audience would come. I hope so. Although the audience is under attack, it's the audience is under all the information that is imposed on them from the government.
I like the idea, if it means anything there, and hope we see it in action here. Again, this is certainly the summer season. Noam Semel, CEO of Habima National Theatre, thanks for being with us.